Welcome, everybody, to the first Friday entrepreneurship call with K-State Research and Extension. The purpose of the first Friday e-call is to increase the local community's knowledge about the resources, the economic resources, the experts, the education, and to help small businesses in the communities that love them. As always, the call is being recorded. And at the end of the call, if you haven't seen this yet, at the end of the call, we have the opportunity to tell us three short things. So I'm going to teach to the test. And we really do value this. I will share the data with Molly, our presenter today. The three things we're going to ask you are these. Number one, did you learn something today that you can use immediately? Number two, how many people will you forward this information to? And if 0 is the answer, that's perfectly fine. Number three, what did you learn today that was the most helpful to you? And we appreciate your willingness to take that 3-question test at the end. So we are going to, oh, and by the way, the call will be posted at the end in our excuse me, I'm trying to send a chat to y'all. It will be recorded and posted at the end. I'm going to be occasionally putting things in the chat, and if you decide that you want to see save that Zoom chat so that you can refer back to it, go to the top of your little Zoom window where the 3 ellipses are and press save chat so that you can save the information there. So with no further ado, I'd like to welcome to our group Molly Wainscott, who is the Assistant Director of the Dodge City Ford County Development, and she's going to tell us how Dodge City leveraged partnerships and grants to improve housing in Dodge City. Thank you, Molly.
Thank you, Nancy. Molly Wainscott, Assistant Director for the Dodge City Ford County Development Corporation. I'm going to talk about how Dodge City has used different economic development tools and incentives to create housing. My presentation is not an hour long, so please feel free to interrupt me and stop me if you have any questions. Or if you've used some of these resources a different way, please feel free to join me. I'm going to share my screen.
And Molly has asked me to monitor the chat, so if you feel more comfortable putting your chat questions in chat, I'm happy to relay them. But as she said, you're very welcome to open your mic and tell her what you want to add.
And Nancy, can you guys see my screen?
Yes, we can see the right screen.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. So we'll get started here. So why housing? Why housing? We've recognized here in Dodge City for a long time that our businesses cannot expand. We cannot recruit new businesses without having affordable and quality housing. Workforce is a struggle everywhere right now. We currently have a 2.5% unemployment rate, and we cannot recruit more workforce unless people have a quality, affordable place to live. Dodge City has had a lot of success in housing over the years. We have over 600 housing units that have been developed. We have another 600 under construction, and then an additional 400 in the pipeline to be built within the next 5 years. We attribute this success to the partnerships that we've created, the city, the county, our community college, our local businesses, Kansas Housing Resource Corporation, the Kansas Department of Commerce, realtors, developers, just everybody in the community has really helped us to be able to build additional housing and supported additional housing. The first step in housing is to really understand your need. We partnered with RDG Planning and Design back in 2008. And we contracted with them to do our housing assessment. And I've got The contact information for RDG planning and design on here. We started in 2008, and then every 3 years we update our housing assessment. It's very important to update your housing assessment. We do not want to provide incentives for anything that isn't needed. The Kansas Department of Commerce has a new tool that can help communities do their own housing assessment. It's a great tool. It'll tell you which stakeholders you need to bring to the table. It tells you which data you need to look at, and not only tells you what data you need, it also gives you a link to the census data that'll bring up exactly what you need. So the process to get a housing assessment is you gather stakeholders and you get community engagement, you analyze the data, and then you set your priorities. This is the latest Dodge City housing needs assessment. So RDG planning and design breaks it down by income level, owner occupied, and multifamily. And then it projects the need based on that. So according to this chart, by the year 2030, Dodge City is going to need an additional 629 housing units, 315 of them being owner occupied and 315 being renter. When you look at our housing need, it shows that we need housing in all income ranges from market level to low income. It also stated that we need to preserve our existing housing stock. So I'm going to talk a little bit about a lot of these incentive and housing programs that are listed here that we have used in Dodge City to help build additional housing in all of those income ranges. So we created a nonprofit housing organization called the Community Housing Association of Dodge City. It's a 501c3 organization, and it is governed by a 12-member board. The mission statement for, we call it CHAD, is to create and address the housing needs in the community by revitalizing neighborhoods through comprehensive assistance to preserve low to moderate income. Probably the program that we're most proud of under CHAD is the Abandoned Housing Program. And we partner with the Dodge City Community College Building Construction Technology Program to build a house every year. The picture you see on the screen is the scholarships that we gave away last year to the sophomores in the class. Currently this year, Pat, the instructor, has 26 students. With this program, we've built 7 new homes, 9 units, because 2 of those were duplexes, and we are just now getting ready to start this year's build.
Holy cow. I just want to add an exclamation point to everything you're saying, Molly. 600 new units, and to see those sophomores with certificates is just really inspiring. I hope Kansas Housing will have you present just on CHAD alone next year. That's an awesome program.
We're really proud of it. And we wouldn't have, CHAD wouldn't be successful without the Moderate Income Housing Grant through Kansas Housing Resource Corporation. And I've got a slide on that later. I could talk about CHAD all day, but I have a really neat video that I'd like to share with you guys. That you can see some of the students talk about the impact that CHAD and building a house through CHAD has had on them. So I'm going to share this really short video with you guys. CHAD, the Community Housing Association of Dodge City, is a 501c3 nonprofit organization created to address the housing needs in Dodge City. CHAD operates the Abandoned Housing Program. The funding for this comes from the Moderate Income Housing Grant from the Kansas Housing Resource Corporation. CHAD partners with the Dodge City Community College Building Trades Program to create additional affordable quality housing units.
The college is really grateful to be a part of the project that we have with CHAD. Building this house gives our students hands-on, real-world learning experience for the entire year.
Working with CHAD is great, and it's a good program because we get to improve communities in areas in town that need help, like this one we're doing right now. It's gonna hopefully motivate people in the surrounding area to build better things as well and keep the area like a lot nicer and cleaner.
We're building a workforce at the same time that we're building a house. The city gets more affordable housing, moderate income housing, and we're addressing a big contractor and worker shortage by training our next generation. It's pretty rewarding to think about what we're actually doing.
These houses that we're building, they're in parts of town that may need some improvement. We're helping to make the neighborhood look a lot better, feel a lot better, and hopefully other people will be motivated to fix up their houses after we're done here.
I'm not just learning my trade, I'm part of something bigger. I'm really proud of all the work we're doing here in Dodge City. It's just an awesome program.
This project isn't just about coming to school. That's what I love about it more than anything. It's not just going to school and learning something that I'm never going to use. It's something that's practical, and I'm proud of the work that we're doing on this house, and I'm proud of what I'm able to do for Dodge City.
I doubt if I'm the only one that has chills. That's amazing.
Yeah, thank you. So we're really proud of that program. Before we started partnering with the college, they were building sheds and they had a lot lower enrollment. Now that we're building houses, the students start in August and it takes a complete year. They finish in May. They do everything from the ground up. We have the concrete poured when they get started, but we have local licensed electricians, HVAC, and plumbing that come and do their trade, but we've got great local guys that'll work with the students, so they get to do hands-on all of it. And everything that we do it in older existing neighborhoods. And so not only are we building affordable, moderate income housing, we're training our future workforce, but we're also cleaning up blighted neighborhoods. We see a spillover effect when we build a new house or renovate a house. We'll see our neighbors will pick up their trash, mow their yards, and make improvements to their house as well. So it has a really neat spillover effect. There's a few other programs through CHAD that I'm going to talk about here in a minute. And every time we're in a neighborhood, we always target all the homeowners with all the programs that we have. So we make a big impact in neighborhoods. This second part of the abandoned housing program is renovating houses. So we have renovated 12 homes. We currently have 2 under construction. The community college students don't participate in this. The instructor thinks it's very important that they learn to build new before they learn to fix mistakes and renovate houses. So we just have local contractors who do the construction for us. I've had one home that I haven't had to pick up and move. But a lot of times we get donated houses, farmhouses that have sat vacant for a few years. They'll donate them to us. We will pick them up, move them, place them on a vacant lot, renovate them, and then sell them to moderate income. Another program through the Community Housing Association of Dodge City that we created in 2017 is the Community Home Renovation Program. This program, it's a local program. It started with a grant from the Black Hills Foundation, and then since then has been funded by grants from National Beef, ITC, Community Foundation of Southwest Kansas, and then this is one that the nonprofit CHAD supports every year. And it is an emergency home repair program for low-income homeowners. We use 200% of poverty. We wanted to make the income guidelines the same as the Kansas Weatherization Assistance Program, because most homes that need emergency home repair could also benefit from weatherization. Since 2017, we have renovated 46 homes. We have done everything from roofs to air conditioners to siding, accessibility, ramps, and to date we've invested over $165,000 into this program. We've partnered with different programs like AMBUCS. We'll partner with AMBUCS and pay for the ramp, and AMBUCS will install the ramp if somebody needs a handicap ramp. We've also partnered with USDA 504 grant. and then the Kansas Weatherization Assistance Program.
Okay, Molly, I was so engrossed, I wasn't doing my job of monitoring the chat. So we might have to catch up here a moment to see what people were asking about. Tell us about the scholarships, please. Is that,
Sure. So every year the nonprofit CHAD offers scholarships to sophomores. We do between every year as a whole, we do between $5,000 and $10,000 in scholarships. It's for the sophomore students in Pat's class are eligible to apply. We've given away anywhere individually from $500 to $1,500 for scholarships for the students.
and where does that funding come from for the scholarships?
The nonprofit. So the proceeds that we get from renovating the houses and selling them once we sell the houses, the profit goes back to CHAD, to the nonprofit, and that's used for scholarships and then these other emergency home repair programs that we have.
Okay, so this question was asked 10 minutes ago. So the question Donna asked is, why is it called abandoned? Is it rehab as well as new construction?
Yes, it is. It's both, but for the rehab, it's only vacant homes. So we called it the abandoned housing program.
Okay, and how do you purchase the land in the older neighborhood?
So we've done a variety of different things. Some of them we have purchased vacant lots that were for sale. Some of the lots that we've built on were donated from the city of Dodge City, where they had the latest one, they had tore down a house had burnt down, and the city had demolished the house that had burnt down and then donated the lot to CHAD. So a variety of ways. We've had ones where we had moved in a house on Avenue Inn, and the neighbor that we had moved in the house to, she had a vacant lot and she really liked what we were doing and how we did it. So she donated her lot to us. So we've had a variety of different ways to get lots.
And then lots of questions. Sorry, Molly, I'm catching
Oh,
up.
that's great. I'm glad.
Good. Where do you find funding to rehab the homes?
So the very first funding when we started this program was through the Kansas Housing Resource Corporation through the Moderate Income Housing Grant Program. We applied and have applied every year for MIH funding for rehab and new build. We don't get awarded every year, but with that grant funding, we're able to then take the proceeds of the sale of the homes and then do it again the next year.
Did that answer your question, Laura? It did not. Like, great. Okay. Do you have data that indicates the economic impact in the community as well as the result of these housing programs?
We do not have anything official. We've got numbers of houses that we've built and the impact that we made, but the spillover effect, we don't.
Yeah, and so the other part though, Molly, is remind us of the new corporation major corporation that's coming to Dodge City.
Oh, Hilmar Cheese?
Yeah, it's old news to you, right?
Yeah, sorry, I didn't know what you were talking about. Yes.
Yeah. So say that again, Hilmar.
Hilmar Cheese.
And they're bringing like hundreds of.
They'll have 236 employees once they're finished building.
Yeah, so you're just basically, yeah. So, and Jason has given us the information about the moderate income housing program for his in there. And great appreciation for recycling the funding from the proceeds. And Michael from the SBA has given us a Federal Reserve Investment Connection resource, a forum for nonprofits to present to potential funders. The goal is to match financial institutions, government, corporate enterprises, and community foundations with organizations that have community and economic development proposals that need an investment grant or loan. So that's in the chat too. Another reason to save the chat. All right, we're caught up, Molly.
Thank you. Thank you guys for the questions. I appreciate it. So the CHRP program, the Community Home Renovation Program, which is for emergency home repair for low-income homeowners, it has no state or federal money tied to it. And we'll talk about here in a little bit about some other emergency repair programs that are state and federal. This one, we wanted to keep it that way. That way we could, it could be a true emergency home repair. So if somebody applies, we as a board approve it, call a contractor and get their home repaired right away. We know in our housing assessment, it says that we need to preserve our existing stock of housing. So we believe that this community home renovation program does that. The other program that Chad, the nonprofit, operates is Paint Dodge. I actually stole this from Hutchison, Brush Up Hutch, from Interfaith Housing. And Paint Dodge is an exterior paint program for low-income homeowners. And it's the same as the CHRP. You have to own your home. It has to be the only home that you own. You have to be low income and then current on your property taxes. It was created in 2017 as well with a grant from the Community Foundation of Southwest Kansas. And we apply for funding, and we've been fortunate enough that Community Foundation of Southwest Kansas has funded this program every year. We partner with our local Sherwin-Williams, and they give us a discounted rate on paint. So far, we've painted 38 homes. And if you are elderly or disabled, we've been able to find volunteers to paint the home for you. We have volunteers, what we say, adopt a home. So we'll have a volunteer group that adopts a home and they paint one house from beginning to end. We've had different church youth groups, college clubs, businesses. We had an AmeriCorps volunteer group here just this summer, and they painted 7 homes for us. Just a bunch of different organizations that'll adopt a house to paint homes for elderly or disabled. A few other things we run through Chad is we have a homebuyer education class. We host this twice a year. We've done it for about 7 years now, and we just have local experts, bankers, realtors, title insurance, just local experts come and inform whoever wants to attend. It's a free class on their process of how to purchase a home. We usually have between 20 and 30 people attend this every time that we host it. We also host Construction Day. We've done this for 3 years now, and it's a day that we invite high school students from all over Southwest Kansas. We usually have about 120 that attend, and the purpose is just to show that construction is a viable career field. And so we will tour different construction sites, commercial, residential, multifamily. And then we have lunch at the college with Pat and the construction technology class. And it's just a good way to expose our students that construction is a viable field. The other thing that we host is we have a website that's dodgecityhousing.com that's free for people to post their homes for sale or for rent.
Did you say this is held on a weekend?
Which one? The construction?
I'm sorry, the construction day.
Nope, it's held during the week during the school day. And so we've had schools, Dodge City High School, schools in Ford County, and all over Southwest Kansas that'll bus students in and attend construction day. It's a fun day.
Wow, and is that okay? So the homebuyer education gets 20 to 30 each month, and construction day gets 120 kids every year.
Correct. When we do the homebuyer education class, we don't do it every month. We do it about twice a year.
Thanks.
Yeah. The Rural Housing Incentive District, we call it RHID. It's governed by state statute. This has been probably made the biggest impact in the number of houses that we've developed here in Dodge. The purpose of it is for development or renovation of housing, and it's only for rural areas in Kansas and to assist in the financing of public improvements for the infrastructure. The RHID captures the incremental taxes created by a housing development for 25 years, and you can capture that to pay the public-owned infrastructure. We've done 2 different funding methods here in Dodge. We've done developer reimbursement, and then the city allows the developer to petition the city to bond out the infrastructure financing, and then the RHID pays those bonds back over 25 years. We found that when putting in a housing development, and you have, $1 million to $2 million of infrastructure, and then for the developer to still have the capacity to build houses after that we've been able to really grow a few of our local developers by allowing them to petition the city and the city take that portion over. Public owned infrastructure, streets, curbs, guttering, water, sewer, and the cost of land can all be reimbursed by the RHID. The steps to create a rural housing incentive district. It's kind of a complicated process. There's a lot of paperwork. You have to define your district. You have to have a resolution with a map and legal description, publish it in the paper, take the resolution to city commissions, have it approved, and then that's approved by the Secretary of Commerce. Once you have your district created, you will start working with a developer who wants to develop it, and you'll put together a development plan. And in that development plan, you'll have your feasibility study. So you're going to want to know what your infrastructure costs are, how many homes are going to be built, and what they're expected to appraise at, and see if over 25 years, the property taxes will pay off the infrastructure costs. That's the biggest part to the development plan, is your feasibility study. You have to have a public hearing. And then after the public hearing, you can approve the ordinance that approves the development plan, and that starts your 25-year time clock. We have a lot of different resources on our website, and I've got it listed here, dodgedev.org. If you click on housing and then click on RHID, I've got examples of our resolutions, ordinances, development plans, feasibility studies. Currently in Dodge, we have 3 really large developments using the RHID being built right now. United Village is 203 units. It's going to be slab on grade, single family, 3-bed, 2-bath homes, priced at probably 160 to 180,000. So very affordable housing. We have Iron Flats, which is about 105 units, single family homes between $260,000 and $280,000 homes. And then we have Rodeo Hills, which is 123 units total. It's rental units. 40 of those are low income with the low income housing tax credits through KHRC.
Hey, Molly, we've got a couple of questions on RHID. From what I heard you say, I think I know the answer to this, but is the RHID specifically for low and moderate income housing?
We use it for everything. And so that's why for our city commissioners, we've built high-end housing with this RHID, everything from low income, moderate income to high income. But with our city commissions, it's very important that we keep an eye on our housing need. And that's why we update our housing need every 3 years, because we don't want to provide incentives for housing that isn't needed. But as of right now, our housing assessment shows we have a need for every range of housing. So the RHID is used for all of them.
And so because there's need, there's appreciation in every level of them. And the appreciation is what's important, I guess. So the answer to the question, how many square feet in these homes? It's everything, right?
Yep. Yes, it varies.
Okay. And then one last thing, Katie Eisenhower is saying, in many cases, the infrastructure is recaptured in far less than 25 years. Is that in your experience?
Yes. Katie, it used to have a 15-year time time clock, and state statute, I think just a couple years ago, changed that to 25. Almost all of ours are paying off well before the 25 years. Most of ours are paying off anywhere between the 12 and 15 years. I think the United Village, because it's so affordable and we're building 203 units at one time, we have over $6 million in infrastructure. It's projected to be closer to the maybe 17, 18 year mark. But our city finance director, when we're doing the feasibility study, she's very conservative. The infrastructure costs, our city engineers will look at those and make sure we've got everything included on that. But when it comes to the value of the homes, we're pretty conservative on that. And a lot of times when they're built, they're valued at higher than what we had originally projected in our feasibility study. Thank you, Katie.
Any other questions before we leave this area? Okay, this is a catch-up question, Molly, from your paint project. Do you worry about lead-safe work practices? If so, how are you organized around this?
We do. We follow the lead-safe work practices. In fact, I got certified in lead-based safe practice a few years ago, and we have a few other city staff. And so when working with the volunteers, we have someone who's certified in lead-based safe. They go every day and start it. They go through the whole lead-based safe practices. And then at the end of the day, they go and make sure everything's cleaned up and everybody's following lead safe practices. And we're getting ready to hold another one. We have Rex Smith come and he teaches the lead-based safe classes. We host them here. He comes to Dodge and we host him here locally for our contractors and city staff and anybody who works on our projects.
Amazing. Okay, that's all our questions here.
Okay. Go on. Another program that we use is the Neighborhood Revitalization Plan, NRP. And this is a lot like the RHID, but the purpose is to revitalize residential areas. And the NRP is designed to give property owners a tax rebate on the incremental increase of improvements. And in Dodge, we have everything south of Comanche Street inside of the city limits is considered an NRP district for housing. I know a lot of smaller counties, the whole county is an NRP district. We recently just updated our plan and we increased the rebate. And one of the reasons we did this was because we wanted the NRP to be comparable to the RHID Senate Bill 90, where downtown housing can now use the RHID. And so we have a standard rebate program that's 10 years, and it's a 95% rebate for years 1 through 5, and a 50% rebate for years 6 through 10. We have a historic area, and then a plus 20 rebate program as well. And the plus 20 rebate program is 20-year rebate, 95%, but it's only for projects that are $6 million and above. And that's the one that we wanted to be comparable to the RHID. So a lot of times if we have a development, we will sit down and look at the difference between the RHID and the NRP and figure out which one is more beneficial to the developer. If there's not a lot of infrastructure costs, sometimes the NRP is a better rebate for the developer.
Molly, I'm going to speak for the less informed audience. Maybe there isn't any less informed than I am. Could you give me a specific example about a house and how that would play out?
Yeah. So we use the NRP, everything from new builds to people who own a house and they want to do additions. It has to increase your tax, increase your property tax to qualify for this. So it can't just be a remodel. Has to be an addition. So if I have a vacant lot, so for example, Chad's projects, when I build a new house on a vacant lot in an older neighborhood, I apply for the NRP, and then once the house is finished, it takes that incremental increase in taxes and it rebates it back to the property owner for 10 years.
Thank you. That's helpful. So just to clarify, this is from Katie. RHID or NRP can be used, but not both.
That's correct. You have to pick one or the other because it's that same tax dollar. The property tax is what that incentive is. So you can use one or the other. Thank you. If you don't have a neighborhood revitalization plan, it's a pretty easy process to create one. You create the plan, you hold a public hearing, and then you have to have an interlocal agreement with all the taxing entities. And then the city or the county, whoever's creating it, passes the ordinance that approves that. And then the interlocal agreement has to be approved by the Attorney General. I know a lot of NRPs, people put in there that they expire, they have to be updated every so many years. Ours in Dodge doesn't ever sunset. So this is always available until one of the taxing entities says that it isn't. Once the NRP is approved, it's a really easy process for developers to use. And it's a lot easier than the RHID. And so that's why we increased our rebate to make it comparable, because it's a short one-page application that goes to the county saying they're applying for the NRP. Another program that we use here in Dodge, and we just recently were approved, is the Community Development Block Grant for housing through the Kansas Department of Commerce. And we were granted $300,000 to the city of Dodge City. And the purpose is to improve housing for low to moderate income households. It's hard to see this picture here, but I have a picture of our target area. So we had to define a target area in our application, and anybody in that target area that's low to moderate income can receive up to $25,000 in home repairs. Linda Hunsucker with the Kansas Department of Commerce is in charge of this program, and she makes it it's a lot of paperwork, but she makes it really easy to use. We have currently renovated one house. We have one that we're doing right now, and then we have 4 or 5 others that have completed all the paperwork and are approved applications that we hope to get to soon. So it's another way because you pick a target area to make a really large impact in a small area. Another new program that we just started was we created a land bank. The purpose of the land bank is to acquire, maintain, sell, transfer property within the city. The purpose is to remove blight, promote infill housing, and promote reinvestment in our housing stock. It is governed by a board of trustees. You can accept donated property or purchase property, and once the land bank holds the property, all property taxes are removed. The land bank can sell or give away property with an agreement with purchasers that ensures investment. So when we started the land bank, we have the city who has demolished some houses here in town, and so the city owns the land and will give it to the land bank. Once the land bank owns it, any back taxes are removed, and then as a land bank, we can give it away or sell it to a developer. And with that, we can tell the developer, we want a development agreement that says you're going to invest so much, you're going to invest $150,000 and build a house within 12 months, or this lot goes back to the land bank. So it's a tool that we plan on using to make sure that the property gets investment and gets back on the tax roll eventually. We currently just have one vacant lot in the land bank, and our county has a tax sale that we're hoping after the tax sale we'll have a few more properties in our land bank.
Now, Molly, as I understand it, basically the back taxes, if it's got $10,000 of back taxes, as long as somebody doesn't overbid that, if a developer comes in and bids $10,001, then you don't get it, but otherwise you might get that land
Correct, correct.
with no cost.
And Deanna Gearing in Pittsburgh is the land bank expert. And so if you have questions on land banks, I relied on her a lot when I started ours in Dodge City. She actually had a presentation at the KHRC conference, was that a week or two ago? But she's the expert in land banks and very, very, very helpful. Very willing to share. So I would say if you have any questions on land banks, to get a hold of Deanna. It was fairly easy to form. You've got to have bylaws and you got to pass an ordinance with your city commissions.
Wonderful. I anticipate that's one of the takeaways that I got from the conference last week, is to invite her to come do it First Friday next year.
That would be, she could talk for hours on land banks and how she uses them so well in Pittsburgh. She's very knowledgeable. So that'd be a great idea. Moderate income housing grant. And I know I've got a lot of friends on here that are on this call with KHRC. So Jason and Ryan, and I saw Jessica. So if any of you want to jump in at any time, please feel free. I'm not going to talk about how the rules and regulations of moderate income housing, but I am going to talk about how we have used it here in Dodge. So we started using the MIH grant back in 2013 through CHAD, and it's a grant through the Kansas Housing Resource Corporation that has to run through the municipality. So it's ran through the city of Dodge and then to the developer, which in most cases up until 2022 has been CHAD, the nonprofit. The purpose is to develop affordable housing for moderate income families. CHAD has been awarded 8 MIH grants since 2013, and that is what has started funding all the new builds that we do with our community college and the renovation projects. So you can do new builds or renovations. We've done new builds or renovations. In 2022, when KHRC got additional funds from the state for MIH, we opened it up to developers. And so in 2022, the city of Dodge City was awarded an MIH grant for 16 rental units. It's going to be multifamily housing. And then in 2023, we had a local developer that was awarded an MIH grant for 48 rental units. We love the Moderate Income Housing Grant and Kansas Housing Resource Corporation. It's a simple grant to apply for. It's an easy application. And then the reporting requirements are very easy. They're a great group of people to work with. And then you just have to make sure you sell the home or rent it to moderate income families. And so we recognized a long time ago that we have developers that are using the RHID and building market rate housing. We also have developers that are using low income housing tax credits and building low income housing. And so we as CHAD really wanted to focus on that affordable workforce housing. And so that's why we've used the moderate income housing. It's a great tool.
Molly, what is the cost range for the homes in the moderate income housing?
Ours have varied over the years because the housing market has changed so much over the years. The last house that we built last year with the community college, we just closed on it yesterday and it was sold for $205,000. And it's a brand new single family, 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom house. The USDA Rural Development 504 grant. This is a loaner grant through USDA Rural Development for emergency home repair. We've never used it as a loan, but we have used it as a grant. So the purpose is to provide loans to very low income homeowners to make repairs or improvements to their house. So this is not for vacant housing. This is a program that we just assist low-income homeowners in applying for. So our role isn't, the money doesn't flow through us. We just provide assistance to our homeowners to apply for this. They have to be the homeowner, they have to be very low income, and I've put the income ranges here on the screen for Ford County. And if the homeowner is 62 or older, they can apply for a grant for up to 10,000 to make home repair. And so we've helped a few homeowners with this program, and we've partnered it with our community home renovation program, where we can provide up to $5,000, and this USDA grant can apply for up to $10,000, that we've partnered in together and been able to do some major home repairs for some elderlies that are very low income. Another program that we just try to help facilitate and help people apply for is the Kansas Weatherization Assistance Program. It's a really cool program. They do really big things in houses when they come in and weatherize them, but they have to be low income, and we use the same poverty levels for our programs. A lot of times the weatherization program will come in to weatherize a home, and they'll do their inspection, and there has to be a few things that has to be done to the house. For example, like if they're going to blow insulation in the attic, they can't have the old knob and tube electrical. So we'll partner our renovation program with them, make repairs that need to be done before they can weatherize the home. And anytime we're in a house making improvements, we always promote the weatherization program and say, hey, let us help you fill out this application. Your home can definitely benefit from being weatherized. Thank you, Ryan Vincent. He put a link for the weatherization program in the chat. So I've just got a few more slides of examples of things that we've done here in Dodge and how we've partnered different programs. So the Reserves of Cimarron Valley was 80 units built in 2009. They used the low income housing tax credit, so it's low income rentals. They also used the Rural Housing Incentive District, and the city waived the fees. This picture is of a house that was an elderly person and had her legs amputated, and she needed wheelchair accessibility ramp, and then she needed accessibility in her bathroom. And so we were able to partner the renovation program, a USD 504 grant, and then the city waived all of their fees, and we were able to renovate her bathroom and install a ramp for her. This is another one that she applied for Paint Dodge because she got a letter from the city saying she had to paint her house. And we had a local construction company, Cognac Construction, that had volunteered to adopt the house to paint it. Once he got there and inspected the house before he started painting, he found things that needed to be repaired before they painted. And so we partnered with the community home renovation program. And then we also assisted her in filling out a weatherization program to get her house weatherized. 811 First is the house that was built 2 years ago by the community college. This had MIH grant funds tied to it. The Dodge City Community College Construction Technology Program built the house. We applied for a neighborhood revitalization program, so the homeowner gets a rebate on our taxes. The city donated the lot and waived the fees, and then the house plans were donated by a local architect. And that is all I have. I'm happy to answer any questions or talk about the programs.
My goodness. I appreciated the nature of your slides. I think they'll be really helpful to people later. And again, it looks to me like you'll want to save the chat here for any of the many resources that people have been helping to fill in. Molly, you've just given us a lot to think about. Anybody want to add anything or fill in with questions?
Nancy, I may just since we've got a few more minutes, put in a plug for MIH. Molly, thanks for the mentions of it. Just the timeliness of the program to let folks know. Molly mentioned the different rounds. Since we got the additional funding from the state legislature, we've gone to 3 funding rounds per year. We've completed the first 2. Round 3, we expect the RFP to be out in the next couple weeks and to be due in mid-November. So encourage folks to go to our website. It's linked in the chat, and sign up for our email list so that you'll get notice when the RFP comes out.
I hope you can see the chat, Molly. There's lots of compliments on your presentation, but are manufactured homes a possibility for those grants for any of these programs, because they have trouble with developers in their area?
Yes, so manufactured homes, for our renovation program, you have to own the home and own the land. So it can be a manufactured home if you own the land. And there's a few different reasons that we made that stipulation. One of them being, we've seen some, if you don't own the land, we've seen instances where if you make a major improvement, they will raise the lot rate up where you can't afford the lot. But if the manufactured home was built before 76, you can't move it anywhere. And so one of the reasons we have that, you have to own the land, is kind of a protection for the people that own the manufactured homes as well. And I'm sure every community's had, has a few of those landlords that aren't your favorite, but that's one of the reasons. Now, the weatherization program can be manufactured homes as well. And so can the 504, the USDA 504 grant.
Ron Wilson wants to know, compliments on really outstanding work. When recruiting for large economic development prospects, is there a risk if they become aware that the community is 400 housing units short? How do you handle this with potential economic development prospects?
Oh, thank you, Ron. So we're always very honest and upfront about our housing shortage. But I think that we've been able to combat that with showing the examples of, we've done this many housing and we have developers that are building housing right now. We have another 500 in the pipeline that we've been able to overcome that by just showing the work that we've done and that we continue to plan to do. So that's helped us get over that hurdle.
Very, very good.
Question. So none of these things are possible until you've done your HAT, your housing assessment. Is that right? Can you do any of this before you do the HAT?
You can. I mean, the nonprofit, that you don't have to have a housing assessment to do that. The MIH, you have to have a housing assessment. RHID, you have to have a housing assessment. But you're going to want, before you provide incentives for things, you want to know that it's a need. And so it's very important to our city commissioners. And about every time I get up to talk about RHIDs and ask for approval of RHIDs, they ask, is this needed? Is this, if we're building $260,000 homes, is that necessary and is that needed? And so I feel like it's very important to have a housing assessment. And we've paid RGG Planning and Design to do ours, but that new tool through the Department of Commerce it's amazing. I piloted it for them, and they make it really easy for you to do your own housing assessment. It's a really, really neat tool. So.
Well, is interfaith housing also involved here, like the cash program in the community to help lower income, or is this what the home buyer education class took place at?
No, thank you for bringing that up. I didn't mention the cash program, but we do interfaith housing with the cash program serves our area. And that's another program that we promote, especially at our home buyer education class. We have flyers on that program. And so they have a program that will help. You have to income qualify. And if you income qualify, they have a program that will help you save to buy a house, renovate a house, start a business, or go to college. And so they'll match your savings 2 to 1 to buy a house. There's also some online financial classes that you take, which is really good for any first time home buyer as well with that. So yeah, it's a really good program, and it's another one that we just help promote and try to help facilitate here in our area. Thank you.
That sounds like a great resource, and if somebody knows a contact for that, I'd welcome that in the chat too. Other questions or comments? We're
I
all
have a question.
other.
Following up on that interfaith housing comment, is that something that is specific to Southwest Kansas or your area, or is that a statewide resource?
And KHRC can jump in here too if it's a statewide resource, but interfaith housing serves our area, and I don't know the other agencies that
And
the other
Leslie's given us a link.
but I believe it's a statewide resource. They just happen to serve our area.
Thank you.
Leslie's given us a link. Thank you, Leslie. Wow. Kansas amazes me. And I said it this week to somebody, these people are Kansans, they will share anything with you. And I still believe that it's true. So thank you. I think we'll call that an end and know that this discussion will never end. But we're getting around the obstacles. We're smarter than the ducks, Ryan. We're getting around the obstacles. So thank you, Molly. You just can't compliment you enough. I don't know. It's really true. Not all people are created equal. You must wear a cape underneath everything you do. So thank you so much. Okay, well, last month we promoted it very heavily, a call that was turned out to be filled to capacity with only hundreds Zoom seats. So on Friday, September the 22nd, we're going to host another edition of that call. And you can, if you'd like to, watch the video of that call. It was the Build Kansas Fund. And you need both of these pieces of information, not just the link, but the passcode to watch that video. So if you want to watch the video, do that. If you want to come 3 weeks from today to our special edition 4th Friday call, Vanessa Lamoureux from the Kansas Hub is going to reproduce that call and do it in person. Maybe you want to watch the video and come ask Vanessa your questions. Because I think it's just a terrific opportunity for cities and states, or excuse me, cities and county government, units of government who want to do infrastructure improvements. And there may be more beyond that in terms of broadband. One more announcement, you're invited to the Network Kansas's first ever Makerspace Summit. The summit is going to bring together existing makerspaces and those who want to explore makerspaces and give best practices in funding, equipment, etc. It'll take place on September the 20th at Emporia State. It's free, including a free lunch. If you have a makerspace, if you have a makerspace or are working to create one, it's a good event for you. And today is the last day, according to the information I have, to register. So if that's interesting to you, get a move on. Today's the last day. Our grant workshops continue. And again, Molly is taking a leadership role there. We are still hosting Zoom virtual grant workshops. Whoops. Trying to get that link for you. We're still hosting virtual workshops. We have one here in September, September 11th and 12th, and there's still more room. But Molly has also is hosting 2, and I gave you that Raising the West training events link. September 26th, I think, is filled, and September 27th is still available. Okay,
That's-
Molly, says that's
That's
right.
correct. Yep, that's correct. We still have room on the second date, and that's a fun one. We'll to do it in person. So we'd love to have you guys come to Dodge and join us for that.
Great. And if you would like to promote these calls, these First Friday calls in your social media links, please send me an email to me or put it in the chat that you'd like to do that. And I'll put you on a separate mailing list so that you'll get the promotional materials and can easily put them in your newsletters or in your Facebook or social media. And if you have an event that you want to promote, we're happy to do that too. We have about 1,300 people on this First Friday e-call list, and you'll get your announcement out to them. Next month, October the 6th is, if that's the Friday, I think it's the date that I remember. Jeff Carroll, who is the owner of Ottawa Bikes and Trails, is going to talk about how business owners can help create trail towns. And as the owner of the Bike and Trails, he's learned a thing or two about what bikers need in order to come to your town. So it's one thing to enhance your community so that your people can use it, but do you want to bring visitors, make your town a best destination? And Jeff is going to help you to know how to do that. So if you are a person who stays to the end of the call, you know that I always end our calls with a little quote. And I like this quote. I have a lot of experience with this quote. Experience is that marvelous thing that enables you to recognize a mistake when you make it again. That was done by Franklin P. Jones, an American journalist. So thank you all for joining us. Molly, we far exceeded the average attendance for this call, and you surely made it worthwhile. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a great 3-day weekend.